I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost is with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Can you guys hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can I get a sound check or somebody in the comments? Okay, all right. I have no idea why it did that. Had no idea. I do apologize. Okay, well, let's start over. Thank you. Anyway, to those of you in the comments, because looking dead at the camera, I wasn't looking at the comments for a couple seconds, and I looked down. So thank you guys. So today we'll be talking about Rachel Zegler, and she made some comments about Trump supporters, and I have no doubt that Disney made her apologize. Whoopi Goldberg slandered a bakery and tried to make it seem like they didn't make a birthday cupcake or whatever or dessert for her because of her politics, when that just wasn't true. And the city really rallied and stuck up for the bakery itself. And there's Hollywood needs to take a long look in the mirror, and hopefully Disney and other folks do, and they see that the country is so far removed from where they are, but they're not really learning those lessons. If we have time, I want to play this clip from AOC too. And we've been talking since the election. We've been having conversations about how people don't understand why they lost. And that's good for the sake of Republicans want to keep winning. But it's also bad because you don't, if you're in a blue area, you still don't want your representation and the people around you to be crazy. You want them to be normal. So I would like everyone to move toward a direction of some common sense, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Anyway, I told you before I jump into the stuff, I told you guys yesterday about how on Book Talk there's people who've been making lists of authors who voted red and trying to blacklist them or whatever. And there's plenty of people who are like, let me see the list. I want to support other Republicans. I want to support other conservatives and et cetera, et cetera. And some people who they put on the list didn't vote at all, or voted independent or third party. Some people weren't even Americans who ended up on the list. And so one of the people who made a list isn't even from the US. And like one account, like it's mainly like Taylor Swift stuff, and they talk about books too. And they're not from the US, and they just started making a list of authors who they thought were red list authors. And it's just really insane. So when you guys argue with people online, keep in mind that a lot of folks in our business aren't even people who are from this country. And I know there's people who like to watch Black Teen News who aren't from the US. And God bless you. And I find some things going on in, like, Canada and other places in the world, their politics fascinating. So it's fine if people want to be like, interested and learn things, but to try to blacklist people for you don't even live in the country and you're mad how they voted, that is so odd. And like I've been running into that a lot, like people in the UK who want to debate like abortion stuff, and I'm like they're like, you can't even get an abortion past 24 weeks. I'm like, you can in the US. I'm like, well, not everything's about the US. I'm like, but you're arguing about US politics right now. Like, what? So it's just a mess. It's just a mess. But anyway, before we jump into everything, I encourage you guys to go blacktonews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktonews.com/donate, because it does cost to stream and run my website, all the good stuff. So you guys can support. I do appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. You guys can do super chats. You guys can also give stars for watching on Facebook. Best way to support is to go directly to the website. Make sure you guys are dropping in your emails and stuff. So when I send out emails, on the rare occasion that I do, that you guys will get that stuff. It's the weekend. If you're looking for something to do, you guys can check out some of my books that I have, like Super Kid 2. It's a good, book to read with your kids and the family and so on. We do also have merch you guys can check out at the store. One of my babies, I clicked on the wrong thing. I do like that graph though, but the Color of God's Eyes, and then going into Song of the Devil's Lips, that's a historical fiction fantasy series. It's like the American Civil War meets X-Men. When people ask me like what's my favorite book or what's my top seller and stuff, it's usually that one when I go to different places. So I had a mix of, like, when I went to Comic-Con, though, people got The Color of God's Eyes. I actually ran out of the sequel, Song of the Devil's Lips. So that got sold out. And people bought the Dark Mermaid and the Sea Witch. People bought Anubis, my vampire book. Very unique take on vampires. So that was a one that people were buying. So anyway, and my Demon Hunter story, people were getting that. So those were like the top ones when I was at Motor City Comic Con. I know someone was like, I can't wait to someone said that you don't remember that. Don't remember my book? Or I see I'm reading a comment. I'll just wait for you to reply, but yeah, so anyway, I've got lots of books. You guys can check it out. There's a link in the description. I'll take you to my Amazon page where you guys can learn more. And there's also like more information. If you go to ninjadustpublishing.com, you can learn. But yeah, do some fun this weekend. Pick up a book and read. And I was on a live last night and said I don't think I'm important enough to be on a red list right now. And just because my account on like Black Teen News, has like 130,000 followers right now, but my book one, I hardly post there. I just breached like 200 followers on that account, so I need to send more people over to follow that one. I need to post more content or whatever, but it's just I don't read a lot of fiction books myself. And I don't know. I read like a lot of nonfiction, like religious and informational books or whatever. It's been a while since I've like read a fiction book for fun, maybe a year or so. So I don't know in that front how much I'd have value to add as far as book recommendations, but I can give you some good like faith books that stirred my soul. So anyway, let's hop to this Rachel Zegler stuff. So Rachel in the whole Snow White debacle, it's been controversial the whole time because Rachel, Snow White's she's not white, or at least, white as snow. She's a um not the ideal kind of Snow White, but she can sing. But in the trailers, I don't know if I like her voice for Snow White though. Um it just doesn't have that. Her voice is sweet, but it just doesn't. It's not sweet and airy and innocent enough, kind of, and to be Snow White for me. So I didn't like the little trailer that they came out with, but she's not a great fit for it. Let me, if you guys don't remember what she looks like, let me go ahead and pop up a picture. But that was one of the controversies, and if you bring it up and you're upset about it, of course people deem you to be racist, but it's that was hardly of the big deal, the controversy with the thing, right? There's a lot more to it. So on top of that controversy, there was the dwarf situation. So Peter Dinklage, who has been in a lot of things, but most people know Peter Dinklage from, well, a lot of people know him from Elf, but a lot of people know him from Elf, but he was in Game of Thrones. He played Tyrion Lannister. So he said some stuff about dwarves and how he thought it was like derivative, or I don't know, wrong to in back, like backwoods for Disney to have a Snow White movie with the dwarves in it. So Disney decided to not have dwarves, and they, or at least like not have, little people play the dwarves. And I thought that was messed up because like Peter has he's a really big actor. He can take any kind of role he basically wants, for someone who would be a role that he's not typecasted. He's arrived to that point. But he did play that role in Elf, for example, where Buddy the elf, who's not really an elf, but he thought he was, or whatever, they had to tell him, no, you're not really an elf, Buddy. So he went to New York to meet his father and so on. And so there was this children's author who was played by Peter Dinklage, and he's like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing here? Do they know that you left the North Pole? And so he's saying all these things, thinking that they're just honest questions, and Peter Dinklage's character is just getting angrier and angrier and angrier because he's saying all these things that he's taking as short jokes. So that's a typecasted role. Obviously he thought he was like an elf, so he's taken roles, so if someone could really come and kill it in a role in a big budgeted Disney film as an iconic grumpy, iconic, happy or whatever. Why would you mess somebody's opportunity like that up? But whatever. He said those comments, they decided to scrap that. So then they got, all these actors of different ethnicities, and their costumes didn't look great. And the pictures were going around, and people were saying that they basically look like hobo encampment, folks. And so at first Disney tried to say, no, that's not actually from the film. And then it came out that it actually was from the film. So then they decided they weren't going to have people play the dwarves. They were just going to be like CGI. So that's where we're at now with the Snow White. And yeah. So there was that controversy, plus the controversy of her and going around saying like, oh, she doesn't need a prince to save her. It's weird, um and they just made comments that made it seem like they don't understand the story. They don't understand Snow White. Obviously, they're going to change some things, and it didn't sound like they were changing them for the better, and that they had disrespect for the source material. And when people do that, that makes people really upset. So she's just been, there's been so much negativity toward this movie already, from creative decisions and the casting decisions, and and the sort of PR nightmare that they've been going through for a while. So on top of this, Disney must be like, oh my gosh, this girl. So let me find some of the comments that she said, you know, leading up to like the election, because she did apologize, but so what? I mean, we can accept it. I think that Disney said, you know, made her apologize, but at the same time, you said what you said, and you need to show that you're better, not just say words. They're kind of empty. So she said, I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred, leaning us towards a world I do not want to live in, leaning us towards a world that will be hard to raise my daughter in. I'm not aware of her having a daughter or anything like that. I'm pretty sure this is a child who doesn't exist, but leaning us towards a world that will force her to have a baby she doesn't want, leaning us towards a world that is fearful. So before I read the rest of it, I just want to point out a couple things. I think it is so weird how much left leaning people fantasize about their children unaliving their grandchildren. Like, she flat out called it a baby. And to my knowledge, she doesn't have a child. So you're fantasizing, so upset about the day when your daughter, your fantastical daughter, won't be able to unalive your grandchild who you acknowledge as a baby. And that's the top of your list of why you're upset. Kimba said they're mentally ill. You're right. They are. um, this is sick. This is sick. Like, when I have conversations with people about abortion, and they try to explain that the woman supersedes the baby, and they'll say because she's a living person out already in existence out in the world versus the baby is not. And I'm like, okay, if they don't exist, then why do you need the abortion? If they're not alive, why do you need the abortion to kill it? Like, obviously the baby is alive, it exists here in reality, they're just not outside of the womb, right? But that's their logic, that they don't exist yet. So you are mad at America because of some hypothetical situation that maybe can't happen in the future, what probably will, because I don't foresee a place like California. I don't know if that's where she stays, but there's plenty of states where you can go get an abortion, and she has the means to go to one of those places to make it happen, or to take her daughter to. So why should people who have real world needs right now for their families just forsake all of that, so your hypothetical child in the future can kill their hypothetical child in the future? Like, make it make sense. Make it make sense. It doesn't. It doesn't. So they're just ill. And if that's the thing that you're focused on and terrified about, scared about, and so on, you lived a pretty you live a pretty freaking privileged life. You live a privileged life. There's a reason why Kamala Harris, she didn't do better than Joe Biden in any state, and she did better and made gains only in very few counties. And one of the counties, like in Michigan, that she did better in was like a wine area, like where wineries are, like upper income postgraduate kind of folks, like on the tippy top of, like, the hand part of Michigan. And that's who she appeals to, because when you have that kind of privilege, I guess you can afford to be focused on, fringe issues, but other people have to focus on how they're going to feed their kids. Other people have to focus on, job security. Other people have to focus on whether their families are going to be safe. Kamala Harris thought she could get by in the election telling lies about what happened to Amber Thurman, trying to pretend like she died because of miscarriage care or whatever, when she died of sepsis after the complications of taking the abortion pill, after successfully aborting her twins. And allegedly, it looks like, there was malpractice involved in the hospital. That's where her family is suing for. But they kept pushing it and pushing it, pushing it, making it about pro-life laws. So they thought that they could tell lies about that it would sway enough people in, I guess, Georgia and other places around the country, while ignoring the reality of things that happened to Lake and Riley. And by the way, that case is like going on right now. The details of what happened to her are horrific. Absolutely horrific. And gosh, I don't want to talk more about it because I'm kind of getting emotional just thinking about these real world terrible consequences that have happened to real women because of consequences at the border. People feel that. People are concerned about it. They're concerned about all the people who've come here who they don't know who they are. They're concerned about the children who may be with people who they shouldn't be with, or the harmful things that happen while they come up in these caravans and they're trafficked by the coyotes. Like it's a humanitarian crisis. What happens to these people as they come up here? Even people who pay money to the cartel to come up here are afraid of the people they are coming up here with. And I've played videos for you guys with people saying that, like, well, you guys need to look more into the security of these people. Like, bro, you're here illegally. And you're telling us we need to do a better job about security because you're that concerned? But that just goes over the heads of people like Rachel Zegler because they care about their little fringe issues. Your hypothetical future daughter's abortion is not more important than the border issue today. It's not more important than, people's being afraid of crime right now. It's not more important than inflation and how much groceries cost and eggs and gas. And you can say, well, gas has gone down. Yeah, but when Trump was president, it was under $2. And I'm sorry, $3.38 is still more than $1.79. So those are just the facts, okay? Those are the facts. Those are the facts. So let's keep reading, okay? I shouldn't be shocked. I shouldn't be this shocked. And she's shocked because she's in an echo chamber. Like the polls are saying it's close or whatever. But of course, Trump swept all those swing states. And a lot of places got redder. New York, New Jersey, Minnesota, California, just red everywhere. Like he just, and he won the popular vote, obviously. If you existed more than outside of your bubble, and if you knew a little bit more about politics, you should be able to know that Kamala Harris was in trouble. Kamala Harris, people get so offended when Republicans bring it up or when Republicans say it or Charlie Kirk or whoever, but it is true that Kamala Harris was a DEI hire. Biden said he was going to hire a woman. He's going to pick a woman for his VP, and people thought it was going to be like my governor, Gretchen Whitmer. There's all these reports from people in Michigan saying, oh, she thought it was going to be her. But there were so many Democrats and Black Democrats lobbying like, you need to pick a Black woman. And he had said so many problematic things regarding race on the campaign trail, like you ain't Black, or unlike the African-American community, the Hispanic community has diverse thoughts about many different things. That's pretty racist, right? So after he kept making these stumbles, eventually a lot of Black influencers got together and said, like Charlemagne and Diddy might have been on that list too, but I know Charlemagne was. They said you have to, if you want our support, you need to pick a Black woman. And he still shouldn't have picked Kamala Harris. There are other women with less baggage, might have been around about just as crazy as her, but she had so much crazy baggage from all the crazy left-wing stuff that she tried to do, or did implement, or things that she said she wanted to do. There's no way I would have picked Kamala Harris. I thought that was the worst choice for him. And it was a choice I super didn't want him to make because she was my least favorite Democrat who ran in 2019. So he did what he did. And from that point on, it was inevitable that this loss was going to happen. And if you don't understand that, and maybe you couldn't see it up front, like I didn't like to predict that and say she's going to lose. I don't like to make predictions again, because you guys know I don't like to be wrong. But if you are so shocked being the key word, you might be disappointed, but shocked, especially if you look at how much money they raised and how much they blew and how they spent it. $100,000 building a Call Her Daddy set. That's crazy. Relying so much of your campaign rhetoric being just flat out lies, the Project 2025 stuff that's not even Trump's agenda, making that a central focus of your attack point on your opponent is insane. It was a crazy, irresponsible gamble. That's embarrassing that so many people latched onto it and believed it, but obviously not enough. Obviously not enough. So if you're shocked, I can understand you being upset. She was a bad candidate and this was inevitable. But if you're shocked, it's because you're in an echo chamber and you need to talk to more people and you need to get other sources of news. That's the reality of the situation. I'm heartbroken for my friends who awoke. It was supposed to be in fear, I would assume, this morning. I am here with you to cry, to yell, to hug, to wax poetic on how the left continues to fail us in forging a new path forward. And it's funny. She's like, "Oh, the left has failed us." You are just lockstep. You're just so far removed from what like the American people want and desire, Miss Pro Hamas. Like you are not where the American people are. Kamala Harris lost for lots of different reasons. She was a uniquely terrible candidate, so bad at retail politics. But most of the ads and attacks that people had against Kamala Harris were things she said when she was appealing to people like Rachel Zegler, far leftists, progressives, and so on. And the progressives in her sphere on her campaign did her no favors. As a matter of fact, we talked yesterday about how the progressives around her convinced her not to go on Joe Rogan, basically because they didn't want to platform him, when it was like, this dude already has a platform. He'd be doing you the favor. So the problem is not just Kamala, it's Rachel. Rachel is, and people like her are the issue. And until they look in the mirror and say, hey, my views kind of suck, maybe I need to reassess my life, they're going to keep losing. I do want them to lose, but they're going to win sometimes. And I would rather them not be crazy. I'd rather them not be crazy. That's my hope in life. This should not, okay. This law should not have been, and it certainly should not have been by so many votes. So says who, sweetheart? I echo Ethel Kane's statement more than anything. May Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. Never know peace. This is a person who started off her statement saying that she doesn't want another 4 years of hatred, and she's the one saying she doesn't want them to know peace. That is insane. And so the issue is that there's so many people who feel so self-righteous in their anger and so on, where they are ugly and horrendous and they behave so poorly, and they don't realize that they're the bullies, that they're the bigots, and that they're the ones on the wrong side of history. They're the ones. She's the bad guy. It's her. It's not Trump. Like Sam Harris, when he was debating, well, he said this a couple times or whatever, but he was debating Ben Shapiro about like who should win, Trump versus Kamala. And he didn't have like a pro Kamala argument. He just had an anti-Trump, argument. And he would say things like, Trump brings out the worst in people. And my response to that is, why do you give yourself permission to be the worst version of yourself just because Trump is in charge? Just because Trump is around. So many people gave themselves permission to be terrible. Like, you can want Donald Trump to get what's coming to him, but to concoct like the crazy prosecution in New York with Alvin Bragg and the Stormy Daniels thing, that case is so ridiculous. And people understand that it was a political prosecution. So you've risen, or sunk rather, to this very low level in order to destroy him. The fraud case, like trying to bankrupt him, which that's going to be overturned. Oh my gosh, the higher courts just like ate up the lawyers and stuff, the state, for their arguments with that stuff. They're like, this, like, has anything like this ever happened? Like, there's nobody who was harmed. The banks were okay with this because they've done deals with him anyway in the past. And, like, they've spoken on his behalf. Like, this is kind of crazy. But if you just reach to the point where you don't care, you just want to get him, you have an issue. You have a problem. You have a problem. So there was more. This one's kind of blurry. Uh there's also a deep, deep sickness in this country that has showed the sheer amount of people who showed up for this man who threatens our democracy. We're not a democracy, sweetheart. It is terrifying the number of people who stand behind what this man preaches. It is a foolish subscription to false sense of security, of masculinity, of intelligence, of patriotism, of humanity. Girl, bye. There is no help, no counsel in any of them. I could go on. I won't. I feel sad. You probably do too. Bleep this. I'm gonna get to the apology. RC. Someone said Disney made her apologize. I know. I know she apologized. She said, "Get off of Elon's app." By the way, the bleep are you doing? They're eating you up on Twitter. I don't use that app for a reason. He helped get that man elected, and you're giving him business. I was talking about finding I can't read what that is, an art, and I don't care if you are going to pick a fight with me. It's been done before. Find something real to be mad at today. Uh, there's plenty to go around. Okay, that's all going on stage to act. To now need to get off my soapbox before I get too heated. Oh, before you get too heated, huh? Sending love to everyone who needs it today. Sending love after you dispute all this hate. May we all carry each other through the worst and hold these politicians acceptable. Your dim governors just very important. They already were, but hey, follow your governors, hold them accountable. Local government is where we will make real change. This is not the end ever. I will love through these 4 years as best I can. Bleep Donald Trump. I'm going to love the best I can while being so absolutely evil. Evil. She said she never wants us to know peace, guys. And these people think they're the good guys. Okay, so this is the apology. Hi everyone. I would like to sincerely apologize for the election post I shared on my Instagram last week. I let my emotions get the best of me. Hatred and anger have caused us to move further and further away from peace and understanding, and I'm sorry I contributed to the negative discourse. This week has been emotional for so many of us, but I firmly believe that everyone has the right to their opinion, even when it differs from my own. I am committed to contributing positively toward a better tomorrow. So here's the thing. When she said I let my emotions get the best of me, I unfortunately think she already showed us the best of her. When she said she didn't want us to know peace, I think that was her. I think that was legitimately her. You know, what's in you will come out of you. What's in you will come out of you. I'm not saying that people can't be better, do better, and I hope she grows and she evolves and she changes, but like it's tough when your candidate doesn't win. And in 2020, though, I do not like Mitt Romney. It's funny thinking about being emotional about Mitt Romney losing, but because oh my gosh, I can't stand him. But I was upset, that he lost, and I definitely didn't want Obama to win. And I knew so many people didn't know about Benghazi. That was a fresh thing that just happened and whatever. And my family's going through a really rough time. Then we were actually living in a hotel, and I was working at Target. And Target, I call the place dreams go to die. I know a lot of people love to shop at Target. I did not enjoy working there. And I had to go there. I was upset watching the election results and stuff. And I had to suck it up and go to work in the morning at 4 in the morning to stock shelves. and people there were happy Obama got reelected. And I had a couple conversations with people, and I'm like, "Do you know what Benghazi was?" And like, "What's Benghazi?" And so I was just like, "Oh my gosh, so many people voted, and they don't even know what like any world affairs is going on." And but it was what it was, and he won. You got to go to work the next day if you have a job, and and you continue on with life, and you fight back, and you prepare, and so on. And a lot of things about the Obama administration and Obama culture obviously opened the door to Donald Trump eventually getting the victory that he had. So life goes on. In 2020, people were really upset, and obviously didn't take the loss well, or claim that there was no loss. But I just kind of had I was more upset, frankly, in 2020. I mean, sorry, 2012. It like what other people around me were really, really like flipping out about it. But I don't know. I just felt like the Lord just gave me a peace about it. And so I'm like, well, I just have this kind of supernatural peace. So either I take that peace as it's going to be overturned and everything is going to be okay, or it's not. And you just kind of got to keep moving. You got to keep moving forward. And it was the latter, you know? And and then my dad got really sick, so it was there was just other things going on. But yeah, life goes on, you keep moving. But to alienate your I mean, I assume people who follow her are people who probably mostly agree with her politics, because she's not shy about them. Um, so they're probably little young radicals and stuff too. But she is going to be the face of a major Disney princess, like Walt Disney's like little love of his life, Snow White. He loved that film, and they're putting it to live action. She's already a controversial choice. They've already made all these controversial decisions, and she's said and done so many controversial things leading up to this, and it just continues. And she's done so much to alienate people who would watch the film. And I wouldn't watch it even to hate watch it, if it happens to, if my nieces put it on Disney Plus one day when they happen to be around me, maybe I'll see it one day. But I'm definitely not going to go see it. But it doesn't look appealing anyway. So this could end up being, it probably will end up being a major bomb for Disney. And I don't know what they're going to be able to bring out that's going to really pump up a lot of numbers. I mean, besides, like, I'm assuming they'll have enough cameos in their Secret Wars film that will probably make some money and stuff. I don't know how good the actual plot will be. But I don't think the Mufasa plot looks that great to me. I don't like the little history that they're doing. I saw a video was talking about films that they thought was going to do really well. Someone was like, "Oh, Mufasa's going to do this," and then they brought up Sonic 3. I'm like, I bet Sonic 3 is gonna just be like top killer as far as the money that they're talking about. Because I'm like, I want to see Sonic 3. Because I'm I like Sonic Adventure Battle. I played that. I completed that game until like I got every single emblem. So, I was pretty excited, and I really wanted Keanu Reeves to be Shadow. So, that's an example of people like listening to the fans. Because if you recall, when they first started putting out images of Sonic, he looked horrendous, and then there was so much backlash. And maybe it was pre-planned, I don't know, but they listened, or whatever, and they changed it for whatever reasons. We got like something that actually looked like Sonic. And I'm so glad we didn't have to look at that monstrosity, because it could have been a movie that easily bombed, and it did well, and they made the sequel, and Jim Carrey does such a good job as Robotnik. And I'm excited for Sonic 3. So anyway, anyway, I would assume Disney made her apologize. Not because I don't think it's like within her to be able to do that, but Disney, like, I know when Gina Carano upset like the LGBT community or whatever with her pronoun beep bop boops, tweet or whatever, they called her and they wanted her to do like a struggle session and apologize and put out a statement and stuff. And she wanted to do things like her way. She, and they weren't okay with that, and that eventually kind of led to them separating communication, and they really didn't communicate with her until there was like the "you're fired" tweet or comment or whatever, after she had tweeted something about COVID and um people snitching on their neighbors, and people, and then they were like, "You're disrespecting Jews," which they slandered her, and she's still going to court with them. So we'll see how that plays out. But I know that Disney is on these people, and so I'm sure that they probably made a phone call and was like, "You need to issue some kind of apology because our movie is coming out and we do not want it to bomb." But I don't see how it's not. I don't see how it's not. Now, there's plenty of people who are just going to see the ads, just want to take their family to the movies, and they don't care about all the casting stuff, and they probably don't know about all of her problematic things. Those people will go and still buy a ticket or whatever. I, but there's a lot of people who aren't. I just don't think it's going to do too hot. It doesn't look great to me. Even like the colors are very kind of muted. It just doesn't look great. It doesn't. My sister said that she's curious how Hollywood is going to treat Gal Gadot going forward because Hollywood didn't like her 10/7 video. I don't understand. People like Rachel is pro like Palestine, pro Gaza and stuff. And Gal Gadot is Israeli. She was their Miss Israel. She was um in the military. She started showing doing different viewings of the video of the footage of October 7th that was compiled by videos from Hamas and surveillance videos and stuff that they had. And people were upset and protested those viewings. They just, think that she's terrible, or awful people think she's terrible for standing up for her people. And I don't understand why people just, at least if you, even if you are on a different side of the issue, why you wouldn't have more grace towards someone who's upset about her country. And it's such a vicious attack happening to her country. Like, do you guys remember 9/11 and how awful 9/11 was, and how as a nation we felt to get attacked, and the sense of togetherness and patriotism that we had, and the sense of we got to go find out who did this and wreak havoc on that, if you didn't live through it and you don't remember it, it's hard to convey or maybe understand. And I hope we don't have another situation like that anytime soon. But they had a terrible tragedy. And for people to not understand that, or to be angry that she at least wanted to show people the truth. I mean, Hamas made the videos for people to see their terror. They were proud of it. And just being mad that people are showing what happened to the Israeli people, and upset at Gal Gadot for making that available. People like Rachel, they're the reason why Kamala Harris lost. Kamala was bad all on her own, but she's not the only reason why the country moved to be so red. But Rachel is a part of that equation. People like Rachel as a part of that equation. And again, I'd rather they change. Because I don't want the country to continue being this crazy. Anyway, let's move on. Cause I gotta talk about this Whoopi Goldberg thing. So Whoopi Goldberg, star of The View, which, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this. I don't have a clip of this. But Whoopi Goldberg on The View, she was talking about how she's a working woman. And if she, she's like, I get it. She's like, I work, if I had all the money in the world, I wouldn't be here. A lot of people didn't love that because, granted, she doesn't have all the money in the world. That's true. But she's a very famous Hollywood actress, and she's been on The View for a long time, and they obviously pay her a lot of money to say her opinions, and they're not even good opinions. Her opinions are so stupid. So many of these broads on this show are so stupid. They say the most stupid stuff, and in the case of Sunny, the most racist stuff as well, and they get a check. It's not like you're hearing like I don't know, Daily Wire level political philosophical philosophical analysis or something. It's not like you're hearing like Trent Horn level deep dive or Alex O'Connor or just they're just like really, I don't want to say low IQ or whatever, but just below level political analysis. It Most of the time we bring up The View, it's so we can laugh at them and the dumb things they say and mock them, or they said something racist, and just so out of touch. It's never like, what, Sonny said something that was so brilliant the other day. Let me just share this with you. Oh, Whoopi said something so smart the other day. And and that's not coming, it's not because of bias, because they have different opinions. It's just they don't have good ones. And you can say, well, that's your opinion. Okay, sure. And it's my opinion. I think it's if we did a poll, we would see that I was accurate. Do you guys remember like it was over a year ago now, maybe it was like 2 years or so more, but when she got in trouble over her comments with the Jewish stuff, when she was saying that the Holocaust, like, it wasn't about race, you know? And people are like, "What?" So, and she just I think she considered them to be white or something, and she like and then she went they were trying to clean it up, and then she went on Colbert and basically doubled down. So then she had like a 2-week hiatus. And I was like, I don't think they're gonna fire Whoopi, but I don't know if they were over something, they might over this, but I don't think they're maybe gonna get rid of her. But they and my main thing of why I didn't think they probably should get rid of her is they pay her for stupid opinions. So why are they upset that she said a stupid opinion? That's what's in her contract. It doesn't probably say that in black and white, but they know what to expect from Whoopi. They know what to expect from Whoopi. But anyway, people were upset about her comment because she makes so much more than the average person. And she's like, if I didn't have, I'm a working woman. If I wouldn't be here if I didn't have to. Other people could easily take your job and do much better. Like, you're there because you're famous for being in Ghost and other stuff like that. Like, that's why you're there, Color Purple and so on. Not because you have good political analysis. Not in the least bit, okay? Not in the least bit. But the other day, they were talking about some dessert on the show, and she made a claim that it was her birthday and she wanted it for her birthday, and they couldn't give it to her, or would give it to her, and other people went and were able to get the desserts or whatever later, but she couldn't get it. And she assumed that the reason why they didn't give it to her is because of her politics and she was discriminated against. Now, that's not the reason. The reason was because it's a very old store. It's like 145 years old, if I'm not mistaken. And they had like a technical issue, and so they didn't want to say yes we could do it and not be able to fulfill it, so they were able to get things fixed later. So it was just a bad timing call. It wasn't, oh, Whoopi Goldberg has trash political opinions. Business is business. So anyway, let's watch this report from Fox News talking about it, because a lot of people in the business community and government came to uplift this bakery, thank God. But Whoopi needs to apologize. I don't know by the time we're talking about all this stuff if she has apologized, but it's really messed up to smear people like this. And when you are like a constant victim, you just make these assumptions that someone is discriminating against you, when there could obviously be some kind of reasonable explanation for everything. That's one reason why, like, Ben Shapiro was on Jubilee, and it was him versus like 25 Harris supporters. And so he said that he did not like DEI, And the reason why he gave is because people just look at a disparate impact and they assume racism, but as opposed to just kind of looking more into the issue to see if there's something else going on. And nobody really addressed his issue too much. There's this kid Dean who's a pretty big, TikTok debater or whatever. He just went like way out there and was like, yeah, but the electoral college is DEI. And I'm like, what? That doesn't even have anything to do with his issue, with the prompt that he gave. And you just want to make this dumb point instead of addressing what he's really upset about. That we have this warped worldview that if you see some kind of unequal result, you're like, oh, it's because of discrimination, oh, it's because of racism, or maybe something else happened. Maybe there's some kind of other explanation, but too many people's brains are broken. I think Whoopi's brain is broken. I don't know if there's a way to fix it. She has the bad brains, okay?
What's happening? Whoopi Goldberg causing problems for a bakery, and now a Staten Island bureau president is speaking. Let's watch.
And I think the bottom line here is after we're going to call up Jill, who has had to endure something that she shouldn't have to endure. These people are up at 3 or 4 o'clock every morning. The sacrifices they've made, the holidays they've missed with their families. To make Staten Island better, they have sacrificed for 145 years. Rutherford B. Hayes was the president of the United States, for God's sakes. And they're still here and they're still strong and they're not going anywhere despite what other people on television have to say. And frankly, the people who defamed the Holterman family should apologize to the Holterman family for making stuff up to suit their needs. Not everybody wakes up every day and thinks about politics. A good business person doesn't care about anybody's politics. So with that, I'd like to call up Jill Holterman Bowers. She deserves 110% support. Jill, come on.
It's a community that I have to tell you, I'm so overwhelmed by the support between finding out yesterday this even happened, getting phone calls, and then people coming in, people from all over just supporting us in every way. We had phone calls yesterday from Alabama. Guy says, I'm going to give you $50, send it to a school, send them donuts, send them cupcakes. The support has been so overwhelming, and I know how hard my family has worked to keep this business alive. And I wish my father was here today to see this. He would never believe it. My bakers come in 2 or 3 in the morning just to have donuts and rolls for everybody to come in and say, we have the best rolls ever. And you know what? It took my whole family. It takes everybody, the community that comes every day to see us. We have this everyday conversation with everybody. How's the family? How's this? This is what makes Holterman's Holterman's. It's the community. It's my fellow everything that come out and us giving back to the community that makes this go round. And if it wasn't for you and Staten Island to make this work, we still wouldn't be here today. So I know my brother, Billy, work hard. Joe, my baker in the back, is here 6 days a week. He gives his heart and soul to this place. And you know what? My father always said, you do what you love. I'm telling you, this is my heart. And I thank you so much for everybody come out and support us with the Holterman family. It means the world to me. It really does. Thank you so much. Oh, I wish my father was here for this.
Oh, good. So good. The goodness prevails. And just a little background for those who know, they had a boiler here. Again, it's been here 145 years. They had a boiler that was 60 or 70 years old. And the first week in November, guess what? It went on the fritz. They had to be replaced. And the reputation of Holterman's is impeccable. So rather than commit to something they couldn't guarantee, they say we can't do it. And the person who besmirched and defamed them took that as an insult to her. Well, get over it. This family will be here for, God willing, another 145 years. And as Jill said, it's her family, it's the Staten Island community, it's the elected officials. And I hope if you're watching this across the country, go online and order something. And
Yeah, so I'm glad that these officials and people came out into this little press conference to help this bakery, because people were, they did start leaving the negative comments and harassing these folks. And yeah, Whoopi She lied on these people on The View. Like, I don't know why people watch it, but people do watch it. And a lot of people, watch it. And unfortunately, let me see. I think this clip has a snippet of it on The View.
Showed up.
Here we go.
Look at this woman in her bakery. Watch.
The place that made these refused to make them for me.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What? Oh,
No. Let me explain. They said that their ovens had gone down, all kinds of stuff, but folks went and got them anyway, which is why I'm not telling you who made them. But can't be because I'm a woman, but perhaps they did not like my politics.
Yeah. Okay, the boiler was broken. I mean, you could hear the New York City councilman there. They brought everybody to those microphones.
Not political is what they're saying. This is just pure evil by Whoopi Goldberg trying to destroy a family business that's been in business for as long as they just said, just because it couldn't be that she might actually not get a cupcake on her birthday. And because she's such a lunatic, she thinks anything that doesn't go her way is some conspiracy theory against her. And
yeah, like, why would you assume that? Like, oh, I'm Whoopi Goldberg. They don't like my politics. Okay. Okay. In New Jersey. In New Jersey. Okay. I know New Jersey is like trending red. I don't know, but it's still Trump's. He lost, I think, New Jersey by like 5 points, if I'm not mistaken. It was pretty close, and people are thinking New Jersey might become like a swing state fairly soon in the future. But I don't know, maybe she knows more about the bakery, maybe in their kind of association, but I don't know, that just kind of seems like a weird assumption for New Jersey. I don't know. This kind of seems like a weird assumption. And especially like they don't like my politics. She didn't even go to like the good old racism. She just went straight like, they don't like my politics, so they wouldn't give me a cupcake for my birthday. This working class Whoopi Goldberg, who knows what it's like the rest of us. Because she has to be on The View to work, to make a living, or whatever, Whoopi. Whatever. Like, I don't know what all these people do with their money. I mean, they have teams, they have to pay for their agents and their teams and their, publicists, stylists, or whatever the heck they have all in their groups or whatever. It's not just a one person show when you're a celebrity. So your paycheck does go to also taking care of that stuff too. And then there's, I don't know how much you spend on your big homes and whatever, and your cars, and what bills you made. Just like people make their cell phone bills and electric bills or whatever, celebrities make their own bills too, and they're a lot larger. But you just sound really out of touch, just like Rachel Zegler was really out of touch when she went on like there was a strike with the actor strike, and she was like, if I have to stand in all these hours in a dress, then I need to be paid for every hour, every time it's streamed or something. And I can understand people wanting to get those royalties or whatever, especially because that's how it is like on TV, and it's a different animal when it streams and stuff, and they didn't have the same kind of contract. So there's people who aren't getting paid anywhere near like people were getting paid when stuff was, on TV for syndicated stuff. But when you are complaining and fighting for your rights because you got to play a Disney princess and you want to make sure that you get all your cash, and I'm not saying that she's not entitled to it, but this is again at a time where people were really, really struggling in their lives, and it was just kind of hard to feel bad for someone who described their job as standing around in a dress. Like, so many of these people are so out of step with the country. Speaking of someone who's out of step with the country, I'm going to play this clip of AOC before I let you guys go. I'm not going to be on here too much longer. I know we're going to go a little bit over the hour, but AOC was talking about this particular ad that Trump played, and we talked a lot about this ad when it aired and commentary afterwards. And so she's trying to make it seem like the reasons why it was effective weren't really the reasons why it was effective. So let's watch her commentary.
And all of this debate that people are talking about with this woke thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's because we care about trans people, and that's why.
And by the way, only
backlash.
Donald Trump cared about trans people
Right.
because he was the one running $130 million worth of ads. The Harris campaign said nothing about this issue.
That's right. That's right. And listen, the ads, it's not to even deny the fact that these ads were effective in certain areas. What I think people
Okay, before she goes on, this is already so dishonest. I could explode out of my skin. Okay, first of all, they know this woke stuff has gone too far, and people have noticed and point out the fact that AOC no longer has pronouns in her bio. At least from the last time that I looked, she removed her pronouns. Okay, I think people are going to start taking a step back with this stuff if they're smart. But Joy saying that Trump cared about the trans issues, but the Harris campaign, they didn't even mention it. They didn't mention it because they didn't want it to look bad, because she said crazy radical stuff about it, and that's not where the country is. Trump has been running to the middle since the primary. He's been thinking about generals since the primary. He was attacking Republicans from the left. He wasn't competing to be the most right person. He was attacking from the left. Okay. He's been on the GE train, general election train, for the past 2 years. Okay. So he's been the moderate in the race for a very long time. Kamala Harris was trying to run to the middle, so people thought that she wasn't crazy and she could win over independents and moderate Dems and moderate Republicans or whatever. That's what she wanted. She was unsuccessful because Donald Trump reminded people that she was crazy. Okay, he was able to go to things that she said. You know, CNN, they did that article about her ACLU form or whatever when she wanted taxpayer dollars to pay for detainees' transgender care. Okay, she said it. It's just a reality. It's her record. Okay, and so Trump pointing out the obvious, doing some Oppo research and bringing it to light, is not him caring so much about the trans issue. It's him pointing out that Americans think that she's too far to the left. And they keep saying like, oh, well, why do they keep bringing up such a small group of people, as if they're not changing language, as if they're not harassing people saying, you are cis. That's what you are. Cis isn't a slur, and men can get pregnant and men can have periods, and you're just egg havers or uterus havers. And you got people on the Supreme Court who wouldn't say what a woman is. And you got dudes in girls sports, and seeing some panelist on CNN the other day blew up because someone said we don't want it wasn't Scott, or somebody else said we don't want boys in girls sports. Like, that's a slur. How dare you say that? How dare you say the word boy? They're not boys. And then it was crazy. So they're still so adamant about this, but don't say it's just like a 1% of the population and nobody cares about it, when you have elevated this issue to like top of the pile, and you're forcing society to just cower to these people's delusions. So don't pretend like, oh, this is just an issue only Trump cared about, as if people weren't trying to ruin libs of TikTok and other people over that story with Next Benedict, that girl who turned out she had unalived herself. At first they were trying to say that she was beaten to death by girls in a bathroom, and you had this big account, Under the Desk News, trying to get people to call like the police, like, if you know these girls, call the police, and other stuff like that. And then people were mad and scolded her parents because they didn't properly respect her pronouns on some GoFundMe for the family. Just crazy stuff. Like, don't pretend like it's just some kind of little fringe thing that Republicans have been focusing on nonstop when you're trying to transform our entire world. It's not our fault for noticing and fighting back. So yeah, Kamala Harris didn't mention it because she didn't want to, because she was trying to skate by very quickly and trick enough people into thinking that she was not crazy. But there's too many facts that say otherwise. Okay? So let's keep watching.
People are paying too much attention to is the first half of that ad, which says Kamala Harris is, or that said, Kamala Harris is for they, them. Everyone's focusing on that. They're not focusing on the second half of that ad, where he said, Donald Trump is for you.
Yeah.
And Democrats very often in their messaging, they speak and in terms and in concepts and not in the second person. I care about you. And political races are not about one candidate versus another candidate. Too often it gets pigeonholed like that. It is a race to convince a person about who cares about you more.
Let me ask you.
Yeah, that's another kind of wrong thing too, because Kamala Harris was running to say, I care about you, he's a bad guy or whatever, I care about you, I'm here with you, I'm the child of the middle class and blah blah blah. She was trying to be so empathetic and so on. It's not just about who cares about you, it's you cannot care about me. I don't care if you don't care about. I want you to solve my problem. Like, if you're not going to sleep like crying in your pillow, like, I hope Christina's okay. That's fine. I just want you to like foster an environment that would make my success easier. That's what I want you to do. So Kamala Harris, they'd ask, like, what are you going to do for the American people? She'd go on like a 4-minute rant about, how she's a child of the middle class or whatever, instead of just boom, 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 I'm going to fix it. She told a woman, I swear to you, a woman can run this country. It is possible for a woman to win, but just not a woman like that. Just not a woman like that, because she's just came off so unserious and so incompetent. Okay, she just was never the one. She was never the one. It was never going to be her. Okay. Hillary could have obviously won if people didn't hate her so much for various reasons. They just viewed her as an establishment shill, and with all this corruption attached to her, and there really was. So she do I believe like she could lead things on a world stage as opposed to Kamala? Yeah, absolutely, I do. She's kind of evil, so there's that. So people weren't too cool with that. I promise you, some woman out there has it in her to do this job. It's just not Kamala Harris. So it's she's still wrong about she's correct in the fact that you do have to focus on the individual or whatever, but it's not so much about the warm and fuzzies. It's about, how do you solve my problem? And Trump was going to solve people's problems, or people believed because of past experience that he would be better at solving their problems. Like I mentioned, gas, yes, it's not like $6 like it was at one point in the Biden administration. It's like 3 something, but it used to be like $1.79 or whatever when Trump was in office. And people would like to go back to that some way, somehow. And maybe he can't do it, but they feel better taking a risk on him once again. So he's a problem solver. That's what it was really about. But the main reason that the ad was so effective, besides the craziness of Kamala's like radical positions, is that it served 2 big purposes. And according to Trump campaign folks, it wasn't to really pick on the trans community, but it was to remind everyone how radical she was, because she was trying to pretend that she wasn't. And to also show that Democrats have such poor priorities. So if you can barely feed your kids, but we want to use your taxpayer dollars to make sure some serial child rapist can have a sex change and be in the women's prison, that's an inappropriate use of people's funds, at least what's in their mind. Okay. So those are 2 major reasons why those ads were effective, on top of like the visceral reactions of, I don't want some dude playing against my daughter in the sports or whatever. So the people are upset about that stuff too. But those are the main 2 things, like painting Kamala Harris, reminding everyone that she's a radical, and 2, reminding everyone that the Democrats have really trashed priorities. So it was effective. And that's why they poured so much money into it. And it's incredible that these people still do not understand. They do not understand. Okay. Anyway, I'm sure we'll continue having commentary like this because they are just not getting it. And it's pretty amusing that they're not getting it. Again, I'd like them to not be crazy, though. I'd really enjoy that. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me today. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation at blacktnews.com/donate because it does cost to stream and run my website, all that good stuff. So you guys can support. I very much appreciate it. Thank you to all of you who watch the show live, especially all of those of you who are like, let me know my mic was muted at the very beginning. So thank you guys for that. Thank you guys to those of you who watch it back and skipped ahead to hear the sound. Thank you guys for watching. You guys, please go to the website, check out the articles and so on. You guys can check out different merch that's available. And I encourage you guys to check out my different books that I have. Like, I have, of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion. That's available on Amazon. I have a second edition that is out, covers rights, science, theology, politics, all kinds of good stuff. And I also have, a ton of fiction you guys can check out. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me. And I will see you on